It's about 5 minutes till noon. And we are expecting a number of you to be joining us today. I'm Jodi Liston with HarrisKramer Liston, joined by Esther Blum, my friend and colleague, renowned dietitian, integrative dietitian, and lifestyle coach. So I'm thrilled to have you here, Esther. We're going to wait just a few minutes to really dig into everything that you have to share with us. But I have to tell you a funny story that we've been talking about you all week and all of these lives that we've been doing. And everybody swears that you actually can feed a brain on Twinkies. So I know that everyone is waiting, just waiting and dying to hear what you have to say, that is absolutely not true.
Yeah, you know, if I had a nickel for every time I heard that, I'd have a lot of nickels.
Right? I don't know. It's either you can't feed a brain on Twinkies or you can't nourish a mother on Chardonnay. I don't know.
Yeah, well, you know, pleasure is my favorite nutrient too. So I think there's room for everything on the plate, but it's
all in moderation.
Fine-tuning. Yeah, you know, I don't even love the word moderation. I think it's judiciously is the term I'd use, but yeah, it's absolutely possible to change. Yeah.
And so many of us have, I think, a pleasure memory response when we hear Twinkies and Ho-Hos and whatever, those cream-filled yummy things that you had when you were, right, a kid. So,
you know, it's so funny. My mom never bought that stuff. So that was like, I remember specific outings to the store with my cousins who are all, I have like older brothers, and then I had lots of big cousins who are all boys. So it was like me and all the boys like driving to the grocery store. I thought we were so cool, and like buying, you know, ring dings or ding dongs or whatever they were called, and eating them. And I was like, wow, this is like what cool people do. But but for most people, yeah, that was their normal. That was.
I grew up in a very, very Orthodox Jewish house, actually. So everything kosher and whatever. So everything was made at home. You wanted, you know, we baked and we made, you know, but certainly I did go to school and everybody had those things. So, you know, that we definitely had to sneak some of that stuff. And I was like, like, my gosh, you know, back then that was a big deal. So, anyway, bringing us back to not feeding our brains on Twinkies, and all good memories, though, all excellent memories. And I'm sure that we all remember those days of our childhood. And interestingly, they're all readily available on the shelves today, which I'm sure you're gonna.
Can I tell you one other crazy story about Twinkies, which is so funny? So in college, I had again, House of Guys. Are you seeing the pattern here? Bunch of guy friends. We call them the guys at St. Mary Street. They lived at 49 St. Mary Street in Brookline, Mass. And they had a package of Twinkies. They had a coffee table, and the base of the coffee table was a lobster trap. And then they had some glass over it.
I love it.
And so very Boston, you know. And so they put a package of Twinkies in the netting of the lobster trap. And every year, once a year, they would like press down on it. And every year it would spring back up. And this was for 4 years. So like Twinkies are like, biochemically, they are like only a couple molecules away from plastic, basically.
It's frightening.
Like, they have a long shelf life. It's really crazy.
All right. Well, it's another reason. That and my hips are 2 reasons why I would be staying away from Twinkies. But I'm totally gonna avoid the Twinkies. But I hear there's a similar story about McDonald's French fries, or I shouldn't say, about fast food fries, I should say. I hear there are similar stories that you could keep them for a year or something, and they continue to look the same, or they don't even mold or something.
Right. They don't even mold. Right.
Yeah. Exactly. It's frightening. It's frightening. Exactly. Well, look at us. Just 2 more minutes, 1 more minute, maybe till noon. So we'll just keep chatting here for a little bit. Again, we want to welcome everybody as you're joining. I know that we said 12 noon, so we're going to hold off for another few minutes, because I certainly don't want you to miss anything that Esther is going to be sharing with us today on her topic. You can't feed a brain on Twinkies. I know everybody's so anxious to hear. So we're going to wait just a couple more minutes until we fill the room, as they say, here on Facebook. What else, Esther, can you maybe you could preview for us some of the little snippets?
Well, yeah. And the other thing I was going to say was, you know, when we had people signing up for this masterclass, some people said, well, I don't understand. I got a link for, you know, a lunch bunch for educational series. And I said, look, doesn't matter if you have kids or not, or if this is directed towards kids and parents of kids, but to support them with online learning. But really, this is information that anyone can use at any time. This will come into play as very useful in your adult life. These are tools that I use with myself and with my own family. And so I think there's going to be great takeaways at any age, although it is geared toward kids. You're still going to just come away with some incredible tools in your tool belt that you can use every single day.
Right. So, right. Terrific. I'm going to give a personal welcome to Chad and Kim, who are, I'm so glad you're here. They're clients of mine who I see are saying hello. And they have been attending all of our lives, and I'm so grateful for you guys. Thank you for coming. You're just going to be thrilled with what Esther has to share today. So welcome, Chad and Kim. I'm glad to see you guys. They are diehard supporters, so we appreciate that, don't we?
The best. Loyal clients are an incredible gift, and like waking up to serve people you love is
right,
and earning.
You can see a big smile on my face when I saw their names pop up, right? So
I love our clients. They're like such special humans, and I feel really privileged to be able to work with them, as I'm sure you do yours.
I do. So, well, I think we have a few people in the room. Why don't we take a few minutes to do introductions? That'll give us a little bit of time for a few more people to join us. And then we're all anxious. I know I'm anxious I can't wait to hear what you have to say. I love talking to you. So I'm going to say, hey, everybody, welcome. I'm Jodi Liston with HarrisKramer Liston, an educational and therapeutic consulting firm with offices in New York, Boston, and Westchester. We're so glad to have you today. I am beyond thrilled, I'm sure you can tell, to have with us our colleague, our friend, Esther Blum, who's an integrative dietitian and high performance coach. She's helped thousands of women lose weight permanently, eliminate the need for medication, relieve and reverse chronic illness. I'm sure many of you are familiar with Esther. I know I have her books on my nightstand. Esther is the best-selling author of Cave Women Don't Get Fat, Eat, Drink, and Be Gorgeous, Secrets of Gorgeous, and the Eat, Drink, and Be Gorgeous Project. Esther is a widely respected industry expert, voted best nutritionist by Manhattan Magazine. She's appeared on Dr. Oz, The Today Show, ABC TV, Fox 5's Good Day New York, Fox News Live. She is frequently quoted and seen in E! Online, In Touch, Time Magazine, The New York Post, the Los Angeles Times, Self Fitness. I could go on and on and on. Esther lives quietly in Connecticut with her family and her children. She's busy cooking up a storm. I would love to be in her house while she's cooking and benefiting from that. She enjoys going on long hikes and blasting 80s music by the fire pit. Oh yeah. So welcome, right? Seriously, we're 80s girls to the death. I know. Welcome, Esther. At this point, I'm going to turn this over to you to share your wealth of knowledge with us.
Oh, thank you. And all of you, I definitely want this to be interactive and fun, and I'm here to answer your questions about your kids. So just a bit of background. So I started out my career in hospitals the first 5 years, and realized I really wasn't helping people at the preventive level, and went and even though I had a bachelor's and a master's in clinical nutrition, I really didn't know about anything holistic or what is now known as functional medicine today. So I took a course in functional medicine and left the hospital and went to work for an integrative doctor, a functional medicine doctor. And the first population that we worked with were kids who were autistic and special needs and ADHD and ADD. And it was so cool. We were doing really cutting edge technology and treatments. We were treating the gut. We were killing off yeast and pathogenic infections. Yeah. And we were also using homeopathic drops. And we did intensive diet therapy, which was gluten and dairy-free diets. And the results were incredible. And of the range on the spectrum, everyone saw improvements. Some kids saw dramatic improvements. Some kids saw more subtle improvements. But it was fascinating to me because at the time I did not have children. So here I was educating people on what to do with their kids, and parents said, what am I going to do? My kid only eats chicken nuggets and French fries. And I said, no kid will ever starve in a house full of healthy food. So it's going to take him about 2 to 3 days to really get hungry, but like, you've got to stick with this. And we got kids off of chicken nuggets and French fries, kids with sensory issues, kids with gut issues, kids with behavioral issues. And we got them eating vegetables. We got them eating protein like foods they had never eaten in their entire lives. And it was really miraculous, the changes we saw. We saw improvements in language. We saw improvements in cognition. We saw improvements in mood and temperament, which what parent does not want their kids having a happy brain, a happy mood, better learning in school, better participation, relationships, friendships. So it really has a tremendous ripple effect. And so I want to teach you today just 3 really simple but incredible needle movers that you can have that you can do and take charge of in your own home. And I like to add things in before I tell you to like clean out your entire pantry. It's to slowly, incrementally add things in with the hopes of that will displace other foods. So that will cause more challenges down the road when it comes to learning. Okay. So, and for all of you watching, at the end of this, you're going to get a special bonus. And so we'll talk about that. So you can either take notes or you'll be sent some information after with this information here. Let's talk about how to rock out your child's protein intake. So there's a lot of debate right now on plant-based diets versus, meat diets. The carnivores are arguing and fighting with the herbivores. I can tell you that for a growing child, there is no richer food, no more nutrient-dense superfood than red meat and protein. Protein is so critical to a child's developing brain and balancing their blood sugar and regulating their hunger and appetite. Protein's the only nutrient that shuts off hunger in the brain. So if you have an overeater, right? Protein is, I'm going to repeat that. Protein is the only nutrient that shuts off the hunger mechanism in the brain. It literally signals the hunger hormones to turn off in our brains. So that's very powerful appetite control.
For all of us.
For all of us, exactly,
right?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So if you have a child with a sweet tooth, you have a child that's craving all the time, you have a child that's like constantly like standing in front of the pantry or the fridge and just eating and eating and eating and eating sleeves of crackers, or, as your child's a carboholic, just wants bread and cookies all the time, make sure you're adding in enough protein. Nobody has ever come to me and said, ooh, I went on a huge bender last night and I ate a whole side of a cow, right? You can't physically overeat protein. Your brain will tell you long before that you feel full, but you can overeat tubs of popcorn, devil dogs, ho-hos, sleeves of crackers, ice cream, all the delicious, delicious foods that have no end in sight. You could literally eat a bag of potato chips standing at the counter, or, snort lunch.
Can and have.
What's that?
Can and have.
Can and have, right?
Yes.
Occasionally still do. But, you know, we have to bring some biochemistry into this for you to really get a handle on what your kid needs. And, you know, protein, typically the average person needs, you know, the average adult needs at least 4 to 6 ounces at a meal. Kids, you know, 2 to 4 ounces at a meal, depending. I mean, my son can eat me under the table when it comes to steak. He will eat very large amounts of protein and red meat and liver. He loves all of those things, and eggs. So protein is an incredible way to regulate your child's mood. Okay, why does it regulate a child's mood? Because protein levels out your blood sugar. So protein and fat they have the most mild to zero effect on your insulin and your blood sugar. They keep your blood sugar completely stable all day. Carbohydrates, especially simple carbohydrates, like a bowl of cereal in the morning, right? Or bagels or donuts, that will spike your blood sugar up. And then when it comes down, you get a lot of irritability and cravings and exhaustion around 3 p.m. So if you have a high protein breakfast, your blood sugar is going to be stable for the next 6 hours.
Okay, I'm going to interject a question here because we hear a lot of clients talk about so many of the things that you've addressed already. Their children will only eat pizza and chicken nuggets and a sleeve of crackers or popcorn or cookies or crackers or whatever. But what about in the morning, keeping them from the sugary cereal? And what about oatmeal? Parents will often say that, like, is that not spiking as opposed to, right? That's a different kind of nutrient in oatmeal versus, I don't know, Cocoa Puffs.
So a couple things. Okay. I always joke in my house that we have 2 meals served, like take it or leave it. So remember, you are the parents, you are in charge of what your kids eat. So don't buy those sugary cereals. They won't be in the house, and then your kids are going to have to find other options. So yes, oats, if you can get a slow cooked oats, that's decent. Steel cut oats are the best and have more protein, but it's still very little protein. It's a few grams of protein. And if your child has a mold sensitivity, oats can have a lot of mold. In this country, there's a lot of mold in oats. So what I would do, if you do want oats for your kids, pair it with a couple of hard-boiled eggs. Throw some bacon in there. What kid does not like bacon? Throw some turkey bacon in there. Throw some leftover steak in there. Or throw some smoked salmon in there. Offset the blood sugar spike with protein. Okay, that's one really amazing way to do it. Other questions regarding that?
No, I'm feeding. As you're talking, I'm coming up with more ideas, and I love the idea of maybe having some of that stuff prepped ahead of time. It's like boil a dozen eggs at a time. Make your life easier. Right? Yeah.
Or by the way, just go to Trader Joe's and buy a bag of already boiled and peeled eggs if you really don't have the time. If your child tolerates dairy too, you can add in, you know, cottage cheese is a really rich source of protein. You could do a protein smoothie with whey protein and some blueberries, which, oh my gosh, blueberries feed the nervous system and the central nervous system and the brain like no one's business. It's incredible for memory. And they're low in sugar. So that's another great way to get some protein in. Okay.
Yeah, terrific.
So the other protein I want you to think about, there's eggs and chicken and fish and turkey and beef. Liver is another incredible brain food. So if your child doesn't eat straight liver, you can do chopped liver, you can do pate, or you can take liver. And if you have a good butcher, the butcher will grind it into a meatloaf mix or grind it into a stew, and your kid won't even taste it.
Won't even know, right?
So that's another really great way. Now, liver and eggs contain what's called choline, which is one of the most incredible brain nutrients and good for adults too, you know. And there's not one published research study that shows that eggs raise cholesterol. and your body makes about 7 eggs worth of cholesterol a day. So if you eat eggs, your body's feedback mechanism will shut off and it will stop producing cholesterol. We actually need cholesterol to make our hormones, to make our estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone. And if your kids are going to go through puberty, they should eat cholesterol-rich food like shrimp, eggs, liver. That's all very nutritious. And we need cholesterol to protect our brain and our nervous system. And believe it or not, cholesterol used to be 200 plus our age. Higher cholesterol was favorable for longevity. So that, you know, we have a lot of drug companies. I don't want to get too political, but we have a lot of drug companies pushing cholesterol lowering drugs and statins, and those are not always indicated. Cholesterol and the right ratios can be very beneficial. And if you don't have high inflammatory markers, it's perfectly healthy to have slightly elevated cholesterol for sure.
Right. And we're talking about essentially, for the most part, like our kids likely don't have elevated cholesterol levels, and we're trying to feed their brain with nutrient-rich foods. And all of these things are about stabilizing. And I know at some point in this conversation, we're going to need to talk about, parents are going to say, but from a realistic standpoint, I can make eggs. I can buy the eggs already done. I can have chicken in my house. I can have steak in my house. They won't eat it. So I know we're going to get to that, but I'm sure that that's right. That's going to be a point that we're going to need to address, is how do we get them to eat all of this food, even though we know it's what they need? And where do I find all the time to create all of this? Having nothing to do with coronavirus, keeping us home.
Although now I have more time to cook now. But yeah, so let's just go back to how much protein does your babe need. Okay. I tell people that the average human needs a gram per pound of body weight. So let me just grab my trusty calculator here. Okay. So if a child is 100 pounds, and you divide that by the number 7, because there's 7 grams of protein in 1 ounce, that child needs 14 ounces of protein a day. That's almost a pound of protein a day. And it can be hard to get your kid to eat all that protein, but it's something definitely to aim for. And even if you get them to eat 80 grams of protein, you're doing really well. And as your child grows, trust me, it gets easier to get a lot of protein in, because they're just eating you at house and home. So that's a good thing to do. Okay. And disguising protein in a protein shake is a good sneaky way, maybe even, because it's kind of yummy and creamy and And you can always... I don't even like to sneak. I like to be very transparent with kids and educate my kids, the kids I work with and my own son at home, on the benefits of protein. Okay. I'm not going to lie and tell you he's a saint with his eating, because I have interesting dynamics, right? My husband will buy the black and white cookies and I'm buying the grass-fed steak. And so we teach our son balance, but he knows he's 13. So he knows, like, if he doesn't eat his protein, he's off, and he has ADHD. And so, on the days where he takes his medication and his appetite's lower, he does have, his lunch yesterday was a plate of deli turkey. That's all he wanted. And I was like, you know what? If he's getting his protein in, I'm cool with that. I don't. Right. And his breakfast is usually oatmeal with a hard-boiled egg or 2. Sometimes I make him omelets. We saute up ham, slices of ham and butter. It's delicious. And I cut up strawberries for him. I make bacon a couple times a week as well. We keep pate in the house at all times for him to get that choline, that fat. And we keep prosciutto in the house as well. So all of those, anything really savory, kids tend to like savory. We have also, I eat breakfast sausages. We keep breakfast sausages in the house. He will eat leftover steak, and we do protein shakes. Those are kind of our higher protein breakfast. So get a really good quality whey protein, grass-fed, and you could do a cup of coconut water for hydration, or some almond or cashew milk. If your kid has a nut allergy, you could do sunflower milk or hemp milk. flaxseed milk. And then you can throw in, again, some blueberries or a banana, or blueberries and a banana.
Yeah.
Just blend that up. And you can put in some coconut oil or nut butter if you want, or chia seeds to thicken it up. But all of those are just simple, realistic ways. This is how I'm living the dream. This is how I do it. The other thing you can do is there are lots of good recipes online to make a really simple bread. Like you can make a banana bread, but put in protein powder. So there are like simple ways to up the protein powder of the bread, or you can serve, you know, a banana bread, and then on the side, again, you just have some deviled eggs or hard boiled eggs. Sometimes just giving my son the egg with the egg slicer, he loves that, versus like a soft boiled egg. So you can play, versus omelets. I mean, eggs are really versatile. Sometimes we do French toast also, because again, he'll eat 2 slices of the toast, which we use a really high quality sourdough bread, and then he's getting 2 eggs in that. So I'm like, I don't care if he has a little honey or syrup on it. I'm just happy he's gotten the protein, the eggs, and the bread.
So takeaways, protein is clearly important. You shared, thank you. You know, so many of our clients obviously have children that struggle with ADD or ADHD. And so many of our clients clearly will say to us that their children just simply will not eat anything but these 5 or 6 white foods. So we're trying to find strategies, protein, find a way to get them the protein. That's just sort of one of the foundational building blocks, is what I'm hearing you say.
Yes. And you can also, if you feel like your child wants to eat all the white foods, you can absolutely make high protein pancakes too, with protein powder and eggs. And that is another good way to get the protein up. But another thing is too, as your kids age, you know, once they're 2 to 3, start getting them involved and say, pick something you want to eat. And then you can always make a healthier version of it. Because having them participate in their nutrition, makes them feel empowered, and they don't feel like I'm being forced to eat all this stuff. And then as they're older, right, you're not going to always have control, but you can make healthier versions. So let's say they want pizza for breakfast. Well, pizza actually does have some protein. The cheese has some protein, and you can, again, layer on some prosciutto, throw some sausage on there, throw some scrambled eggs in there. You can make a breakfast pizza. So you can make quiche, you can make egg muffins. So there's so many cool ways to just say, all right, I'll meet you where you're at. And then it's not such a battle. They feel happy with their choice. You don't feel psychologically frustrated with constantly fighting over food, and everyone wins that way.
Yeah.
So, okay, Sarah's asking a question. What would you recommend for a child that refuses to try new foods and have panic attacks and meltdowns? Yes.
A great question.
That is a fabulous question. So it is going to take your child 20 to 30 exposures to a new food to want to try it. So keep putting it, Sarah, I'd love to know how old your child is. Keep putting the food on your plate, and keep putting it, and allow them to eat off your plate, but also just in the center of the table. Set those foods out, make them appetizing looking, you know, put them on a pretty dish or arrange them nicely. I love sauces on the side. That is another great way I get kids to try things. So some people, if your child doesn't mind something creamy, you could do a yogurt sauce. You can do a guacamole sauce. If your child's a more adventurous eater, you could do a pesto or a chimichurri sauce, or even just choose their favorite dressing. That is really, really helpful. And again, we always do the no thank you bite and say you don't have to love it, or eat the whole thing, but you just have to take one bite.
Yeah, I love that. The no thank you bite.
The no thank you bite. We learned that in preschool, and it's never left. So like, just taste it. You don't like it, just have one bite, and that's okay. Putting cheese on things really helps a lot. Cheese and peanut butter. You know, if your kid doesn't like crunchy foods, you know, celery in particular, putting peanut butter and or raisins on can go a long way. But any of those things, hummus is another great dip. So kind of making it fun, cutting foods, depending on how old your child is, cutting foods into fun shapes helps, colorful plates, or The other thing we did with our son, which was very successful, is say, you can have this or that. Just give him two choices. And he'd say this.
Right.
And then
she said he's a 7-year-old.
7 years old. Perfect. Okay. Yeah. So you've got a lot of leeway here before he's a teenager, where you can really, I would, try to introduce new foods. And remember, he is not going to starve in a house full of healthy food. He won't. At some point, he'll say, okay, enough, I'm tired. But it depends on how much, you want to fight over this. If you don't want to fight over it, I would just keep reintroducing it or introducing it every day, every couple days. He may never eat it, but there's a good chance after the 20th or 30th, he might try it and find different ways to make it. So again, that would be my suggestion, but it's a great, great question. Yeah. And, great. You could be super relaxed about it. Be like, yeah, this is so yummy. And, let's give this a whirl. And he could say, I don't like that. I don't want to. Okay, you don't have to try it today, but tomorrow maybe we'll try a no thank you bite. Just start planting small seeds along the way. Very small, gentle. Yeah, absolutely. And never give up, because I hear stories from my own clients who were the pickiest of picky eaters, like wouldn't let the foods touch each other on the plate, would only eat, hot dogs, but the hot dog could never touch the bun. Mm-hmm. And as adults, their palates really opened up. So remember that you're planting seeds this whole time, and kids are not going to listen to what you say as much as they watch what you do. So keep walking the walk. That is how I got my son to eat foods like bone marrow and all sorts of adventurous things. He just constantly took off my plate. And I was like, go, 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 go. Yeah. It was my diet plan.
Exactly.
My organic diet plan.
Terrific.
Okay, keep the questions coming, guys. Other breakfast ideas for you, Greek yogurt is another good high protein thing, and you can add protein powder to Greek yogurt. You put a little raw honey on there and sprinkle it with chia seeds and berries. I love acai bowls or smoothie bowls. It's another great way to get some protein powder in there, and meat and things like that. Okay. Last but not least, let's talk about, so we've gone over protein intake. We've gone over why it's important. We've gone over how much your child needs, which, I would aim for at least 2 to 4 ounces at a meal easily. And we've gone over some nice grab and go protein options. Okay. Last but not least, I want to talk about sleep, because sleep is so important when it comes to, and sleep hygiene is so important when it comes to supporting your child's brain. And you know this, all of you have been parents, or most of you have been parents on this call, or you've been a lovely aunt and uncle and taking care of a baby all night. You know what sleep deprivation does to you. I used to call myself a momby with momnesia, because I was like a zombified mom. My son did not sleep well for years. And that was incredibly hard on me. It was very hard on him too. And, not sleeping throws off your mental focus, makes it very hard for you to learn new concepts. But not only that, it makes you crave sugar and sweets.
Really?
And yes, it triggers cravings in the brain. There's a lot of research that shows it will throw off your hunger, fullness hormones, because your cortisol, your stress hormones are so elevated that everything else goes to pot. And it throws off your blood sugar balance and your glucose management. So you want to make sure that they're getting quality sleep, not only so that they're lean and healthy and athletic, but so they are happy and they perform better in school. So I'm going to give you some of my tried and true tips as to what works for my clients, what worked for me as a parent. The first one is to keep a very strict bedtime routine. This is non-negotiable. Remember, you are the parent. You are in charge, not them. I always used to joke, like saying, we don't negotiate with terrorists. So this is a dictatorship. This is not a democracy. So you want to make sure that your child's sleep hygiene is the same. Find a bedtime that is suitable for them. Your pediatrician can make recommendations on appropriate bedtimes for appropriate ages, but you know, they can read in bed, have the routine. They have to go up. I would start going up half an hour before bedtime to get them ready. By the time kids brush their teeth, put on their pajamas, maybe read, fart around, play, you know, that all takes half an hour to unwind. Or if you read them a story, you know, it takes a long time to get kids to bed. So allow yourself half an hour, 45 minutes if you want to get your kids to bed. Be very strict about that. Number 2 is to have a cool and dark room. Blackout shades are wonderful. Hopefully I'm still connected here. I lost Jodi there for a minute. Blackout shades are wonderful. A fan if need be, a white noise machine if need be. Weighted blankets are another incredible way to help an anxious child or a child with insomnia. You can absolutely give them a little bit, just a tiny dot of lavender under the nose to sniff and unwind. That's also really nice for calming your child down. If you have to have a nightlight, okay, I will send you a link for one that is free of blue light. Blue light and technology is very disruptive for melatonin production for children and for adults. So no technology too close to bedtime. Don't let them have like iPads or computers in their room. That goes away once you go upstairs for bed.
Not so easy with our clients with teenagers though, right? Like that's another.
It's much harder. So with clients with teenagers, I would advise blue light blocking glasses that you can get really cool, fun styles on Amazon for $12. So blue light blocking glasses, and you can do the night setting on the computer where it gets rid of the blue light.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know when I got my new glasses, we all as a family do our yearly trip. They offered it as an option to have the blue light put into my glasses.
Amazing.
So that, because I'm in front of a screen all day, as are you, right? And many of our kids are in front of screens all day. So anybody, next time you go to your optician, be sure to ask if you can have that.
Yeah.
And it's, doesn't affect at all how I see or what I see. There's no funny color or any, and it's embedded directly into my lenses.
Amazing. Yeah. I'm so careful at night. Like I really can't work late on my computer or I don't sleep at night. It really throws off my melatonin production. So for your kids, yeah, the same thing. So for teens, that's such a great question, Jodi. For teens, blue light blocking glasses, either in their eyeglass prescription or, I also adjust their computer screen for sure.
Yeah.
Then there's a nice time for you to unwind. You can talk about 3 things you're grateful for. You can play a guided meditation for your child. There's a wonderful app I love called Insight Timer. And it's a free app, and it can give you guided meditations for kids all the way through adults. It can help with anxiety, especially Sarah, if your child has anxiety. I would start to do some nightly meditations or yoga. That can be really wonderful. So Craig has a question. Can get a lot of good nutrients in a smoothie. Yeah, spinach, nuts, protein powder, avocados. You are so welcome, Craig. Yeah, smoothies cover a lot. I can get greens in. Okay, so let's go back to smoothies for a second because I'm pretty much done with the sleep piece. If you have a child who is not great at eating vegetables or vegetables are a sensory issue, if you buy a Vitamix, you can get them at Costco. They are more expensive. They're probably around $350, but they will freaking chop wood and they will puree vegetables. True. You can put green vegetables in a smoothie and your kid will never even know it. And as much as I just said, I believe in transparency, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. I used to put in my son's smoothies, I would put spirulina and barley grass juice powder. I still do now if he's not looking, but he caught on finally when he was like 11. He was like, I don't think I want that. But it wasn't a taste issue. He just didn't, didn't want to see it go in.
Yeah.
So I still get them in for nutrition.
It does tinge it green, or no? The blueberries will mask that, maybe.
The blueberries
mask
it. Yep. Yeah. And you're only going to put half a teaspoon to a teaspoon in, so it doesn't change the color. For adults, yes, when I put a tablespoon of spirulina, I have a very dark green smoothie for sure.
Right. Absolutely. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all of these I have found are fantastic starting points for kids. And they're fantastic points for adults as well. You know, I have a lot of adults with blood sugar handling problems and all sorts of cravings, sleep issues, and just adding in the protein in the morning also improved sleep because it improved blood sugar balance in the day. It improves energy, mental focus, and just helps you be a higher performer, quite frankly. And who doesn't want that?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think the hard thing that, you know, we always hear people saying, and you know, we should be modeling for our children, but we, again, let's pretend for a moment, let's go into a world where there's no coronavirus. We're all running so fast in so many different directions that we ourselves likely are not necessarily right. Maybe you're stopping at the food truck outside your office to grab a coffee and a donut. Like, you're not even taking time for yourself to grab that healthy breakfast, that grab and go. And we're modeling that for our children, and they are grabbing, maybe they're grabbing a bar and walking out the door, or, you know, so many of us live in the New York metro market area or in the Boston area. And it's so easy as you're walking into school to just stop in at the 7-Eleven or, you know, Cumberland Farms or something, and you just grab something, right?
Yes.
It doesn't even matter what it is.
Well, let's talk about how you can just even level that up for yourself. If you are going into a 7-Eleven, a year ago, I filmed like, what should you eat at a gas station, right? So you can grab sticks of jerky. You can grab a bag of nuts. So 2 sticks of jerky and some almonds will also keep your blood sugar very, very stable, or any kind of nut, ideally raw versus roasted. You can get, if you get a breakfast sandwich, you can take the top off the bread and just fold it in half. So you're having 1 piece of bread, but you're having more protein.
Right.
Or if it's a food truck, you can get some, you know, scrambled eggs with added sausages thrown in there. So you can actually get some quick grab and go proteins. But the other way to make this sustainable, where you're not flying by the seat of your pants, is to do 2 things. Number one is, and Jodi, you alluded to this earlier, is do just a few minutes of prep work. I boil eggs. I do hard-boiled eggs where they're just solidified for 9 minutes. You can do 11 minutes, 12 minutes, but either way, we're talking 15 minutes all in to make some hard-boiled eggs, and peel them. Okay, fine, 20 minutes. But you do that once a week. You boil a dozen eggs and you've got them, and you can just grab and go, and your fridge is full of healthy snacks.
Right.
The other option is to wake up 10 minutes earlier. That's all it takes to, you know, to scramble eggs. Takes no time at all. You can scramble them the night before in a bowl, cover it with saran wrap, or put it in a glass Tupperware. And then in the morning, you just pour it all in. Or I have clients like one of my clients, a busy school teacher. And so she makes the Sunday night, she'll make all of these egg muffins, which she scrambles eggs with some sausage and bacon and spinach and cheese. And then you bake them in muffin tins at 400 for like 12 to 15 minutes, I think.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I love those.
And so, and again, she grabs 3 in the morning, she pops them in the microwave, and she goes. So there's really portable things that you can do, or a smoothie also, smoothies. Again, I have people get out all the ingredients the night before. I have them put the blender on the counter, and then you just, you know, they're in the fridge at eye level, pull out, it's 2 minutes, and you drink it on the way to school.
Sure.
So it's a lot more mental, because there is a lot of dashboard dining that goes on these days.
Right.
But it's the key to being prepared. You know, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. But if you take a few minutes to just plan, it doesn't take long at all.
Right.
It really doesn't.
So even what my takeaway would also be then, even if you drove through a fast food restaurant and ordered a breakfast sandwich, You could ask for it without the bread. I think they actually serve things naked now, right? You could go to Dunkin' Donuts and say, I'd like a naked wrap, no pita, no croissant or whatever. And you can actually get them naked, or you could get them and maybe take half of the bread off and just eat it that way. And you're saying, order it with the bacon, have the bacon.
Have the bacon, have the Canadian bacon, have the ham. I've ordered breakfast sandwiches at Starbucks and airports and said, can you please add 2 extra eggs to that? And they're totally accommodating. They're like, sure. Or at Starbucks, I get those little mini egg muffins also. They're delicious. So I can get like a breakfast sandwich. I have half the bread and then have the egg things and my coffee. And I'm like so happy and so satisfied. I don't need to snack it off. That's the other thing too. If you have a super high protein breakfast, you know, I get 30, 40 grams at my breakfast and I'm not hungry till 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
I can go all morning back to back on calls. This morning I had my breakfast at what time? I don't know, 6:45. It's now 12:40. And now I'm like, all right, I should eat something, but no snacking.
So protein is key.
Protein is key. It
children, adolescents, adults, and it doesn't really matter where we are, a grocery store, a gas station, fast food. It just doesn't matter. We can get what we need and it can keep us on track.
Totally. And it really, it boosts your serotonin and dopamine. And those are like happy, feel good, antidepressants, happy, healthy, neurotransmitters for your brain. It facilitates learning, mental focus, the whole thing.
Right.
It builds muscle while you're at it. So that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. All great takeaways. And sleep hygiene. I think the harder part is for those of us who have teenagers, managing and monitoring and trying to keep the screens to a minimum in the evenings, but great takeaways for if you have some younger children, really, and to your, you know, almost back to your point that it takes X many touches and X many exposures for somebody to make any changes. We don't expect that tomorrow somebody can all of a sudden have a nighttime plan or nighttime routine, but we would encourage them to start to move in that direction, to try to take away those screens before bedtime, to start getting kids settled in and start to rework that routine, because the sleep hygiene piece is so critical.
It is so critical. And you know, here's another thing. There's a great book I bet many of you had read. It's by Stephen Covey. It's called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Families. And one of my favorite nuggets from that book is to have a weekly family communications meeting where you're like, all right, what do we got? What are the activities? Who has to be where, when? Are there things we can take off the table? Okay, what are our meals going to look like? And like have every kid say, this is what I want to eat one day for dinner, or this is what I want to cook for breakfast, or, you know, my husband and son now, I'm like, all right, each of you prepare a meal all week. I am not Betty Crocker, Martha Stewart here. Like, why don't you guys take a stab at this for a while? And so far they've been pretty good at it. So, and it, you know, is getting your kids to participate actively as responsible members for of the family, and what is their contribution? Well, if the younger one is just to speak up and speak what they want, and have them, you know, help wash vegetables or help prepare dinner on one small thing. Maybe you have them set the table. Maybe you have them, you know, put the food on a plate or make it look pretty, or I don't know.
Yeah. Well, even if they got to pick the meal, right, and they got to help in some way, it was still there. I don't know. It makes me think of like when it's my son's birthday, I'm like, well, it's your birthday. What do you want? You know, it's you get to pick. So it doesn't just have to be your birthday. I love the idea that everybody gets to contribute, and maybe what you picked for Wednesday is not my favorite meal, but on Thursday we get to eat what I pick, right? So we all get to contribute and share.
Well, that's exactly it. And then, you know, as they're older, like teach them how to cook. We actually sent my son to this culinary camp last summer, and it was incredible. I mean, I've always had him helping me in the kitchen, and now it's like he will really sit and prepare some amazing meals using like frozen vegetables even, and he does such a good job. So, or now I'll just say, just saute the vegetables for me and I'll work on the main, and he'll do that. So
terrific. Get them involved.
Simple. Get them involved. Get them to learn knife skills. Get them to learn how to chop an onion properly, or just how to cut up vegetables, or can they just cut vegetables in the first place, or break the ends off the snap peas, you know, or wash them. So however you can get them involved is really setting them up for life and creating responsible adults that you will one day send out into the world.
Right. And maybe there's a way to turn some of those picky eaters into more willing to try something if they're involved, right? Or kids who have food sensory, you know, they're sensitive. They have, I know I have an oral allergy to eggplant. It makes my mouth literally like swell up. So, kids who they don't like the way food feels, you know, it's not even about the taste. It's even just as it touches their lips, they just don't like the way it feels. So
yes. So in that, you know, certainly you want to experiment and try different versions of things. There's soups, right, where vegetables are smooth and creamy and pureed. There's roasting, there is steaming, and then there's raw. So you have lots of different things to try. And
Good point. Yeah. Excellent. All right. Fantastic. Well, we certainly want to, again, provide everybody the opportunity. If you have any questions or thoughts, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat. Those of you who have registered for today's live event with Esther Blum will be receiving an email shortly with a gift of Esther's free ebook, You Can't Feed a Brain on Twinkies. She's got some great strategies and thoughts and recipes in there. And I believe that Esther also has an extra bonus offer for those of you that have hung in there with us for 45 minutes or so. Esther, would you like to share?
So for the first 12 of you who come to me, you can get a 30-minute consultation with me where you will come away with 3 customized strategies to help you help your child, or even for yourself, reach a goal. So all you have to do is go to estherblum.com. That's EstherBlum.com/call. So estherblum.com/call. You get access to my online calendar.
I'll put it in there.
And you and I can hop on the phone for 30 minutes and have you walk away with 3 customized strategies for yourself that you can start using at your next meal. So this is a $500 value. I strongly recommend if you're serious about reaching goals and making changes that you get a call for yourself in the book. So this is for people who are serious, who really say, okay, I've been struggling with this issue and now I'm ready to tackle it. This would be the perfect call for you. I'm putting it
right into our notes here. I send an email to estherblum.com/call, correct?
You don't send an email there. You just put, it's a website. It's estherblum.com/call, and that will connect you to my online calendar in Acuity.
Oh, all right. Reach out then. I'm going to put it right here so that folks can see
my URL. Yes. That's the URL to access my online calendar. Yes. If you have any questions or you want to join my mailing list, certainly go to estherblum.com. I send out weekly newsletters, sometimes bi-weekly, depending. And you also get a free ebook to help you lose 3 pounds in 7 days. So that's another great ebook.
Oh, that is fantastic.
Yes.
That is fantastic. Actually, I know I have a couple of folks helping us out as you and I are here looking at each other. So if possibly Christine or Sarah can put up the www.estherblum.com/call link in the comments for those who are watching, we would be so appreciative of that. And for those of you who didn't register, who found us organically, we're so glad that you've been here with us. But if you send an email to admin, ADMIN, admin@HarrisKramer, we will be sure to make sure that you also get a copy of Esther's free ebook, You Can't Feed a Brain on Twinkies. So we don't want you to miss out on that. Even if you didn't register, we're happy to send that to you for staying and watching and joining us today. Esther, we are so grateful that you're here. Do you have any other takeaways or anything else you'd like to add before we close?
my takeaway is don't give up. Keep trying. Like life is, just because your kid doesn't want to do one thing one day doesn't mean you can't get them to change their habits over time. And they're going to watch what you do far more than what you say. So you have to walk the walk. If you're eating bagels and donuts, don't expect your kids to eat vegetable omelets, but make sure you lead by example, and make sure you're not buying stuff in the house. You're not going to always control what they eat out of the house. But in the house, you can control quite a bit of what they're exposed to or not exposed to. So thank you, Amy. That's so nice. Thank you. And really, that's it. You reach out and let's connect and support you. And you're in great hands with HarrisKramer Liston. So Jodi, thank you for having me today. It's really been a pleasure.
It's my pleasure. And if anybody needs to get a hold of us, again, you can go to our website at HarrisKramer.com. You can send us an email at admin@HarrisKramer.com or give us a call at 914-401-4442, and we will get back with you right away. We're looking forward to more connection and more time in our future with Esther Blum. We're hoping she'll provide us some tips and strategies and articles in the future. So please come back. We're going to be excited to present those. And wherever you are, we hope that you are well, you continue feeling well, that you are safe, your family is safe, and we look forward to hosting you again next week with 2 more speakers. Please come back and check it out. And Esther, we can't thank you enough for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, take good care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.